awkward on the stage. Sorry. I might have a choice. Okay. I want to begin by thanking everyone very much for coming. As each of you know, my grandmother was a wonderful woman, and I think she would have loved to see you all in the same place. Under normal circumstances, it would be an honor to have the opportunity to speak about the full life of someone I looked up to and loved so much. However, these are not normal circumstances. As many of you know, my grandmother's sudden and rapid decline over the last month coincided almost exactly with the loss of her only daughter, my mother. It has been a lot for our family to mourn the loss of these two sweet souls, and I don't know that we have fully processed the loss of the first one. But I do know that my grandmother deserves to be fully remembered and celebrated in her own right, and I owe it to her to do my best. In working through my thoughts, I realized there are a couple of other things that make it difficult for me to sum up her life. The first is that she lived so much of it. 85 years to the fullest, up until the last day. The second is the way she lived the part that I knew. I am in my early 30s and feel like I have seen and done a lot already, especially since having 2 children, which has really sped up the aging process. But in reflecting on the richness of my experience so far, I realized that she lived out this same quantity of years almost 2 full times before I was even born. She not only married young and then remarried the love of her life while raising 2 children of her own, but as you've heard, was blessed to love 8 grandchildren, 17 great-grandchildren, and even a great-great-grandchild, and love them all she did. As for the fullness of the life she lived before I knew her, the truth is that I don't know a whole lot about those days, what they were like for her, or what she was like. I understand that she was born about a month after the stock market crashed in 1929, and that she lived during a lot of events that get their names capitalized in the history books. The Great Depression, the Second World War, the Holocaust, the atomic bomb, the Civil Rights era, 9/11. She sent a son to fight in the Vietnam War. She saw 14 different men inaugurated President of the United States, one of whom get assassinated, and another resign. She witnessed the rise of multiple genres of popular entertainment, including television and movies, and the paradigm-shifting music we now refer to simply as oldies. She even saw Elvis perform live. Technologically, her generation welcomed TV, color TV, space travel, computers, cell phones, and the internet, among many other things. But for as much as posterity will spend talking about the world she lived in, she never really talked about it herself, or shared stories of her past. Which is funny, because she had so many chances. Growing up, my grandmother was always around. My 2 biggest memories of her from childhood are 1, being chased around to give her a kiss, hello, and goodbye, and 2, just how many times I made her do that. You see, my grandmother was always there to support her family. She was at every performance, party, game, meet, and holiday, and visited us many other times in between, often with a camera, and always with at least 2 hugs and kisses. Anyway, when I tried to think through the gaps in my knowledge and justify the many missed opportunities, I realized that perhaps in addition to being so present in our lives, my grandmother was unusually content to live her own life in the present. Allow me to explain. I think it is very easy for us to be distracted by past regrets or future noise from being permanently busy, or by doing too many unpleasant things because we feel like we have no other choice. However, I never got the feeling that my grandmother let these worries interrupt very much of her daily life. As busy as she was for her age, I always got the sense that wherever she was the only place that mattered. That everywhere she went, she was all there. I believe that she lived life on purpose and that she knew what she wanted. I like to think this is one of the things that made her so much fun to be around. For example, she didn't work at Publix for something to do, and obviously not to get rich. But instead, because she genuinely liked being there, and she loved the people she got to interact with on a daily basis, and especially the people she worked with and for. She definitely loved to shuffle, and all the people she shuffled with. And I have absolutely no question whatsoever about how much she loved being around her family. As loud and crazy as we could be when too many of us were in the same place at once. I mentioned the technological advances she witnessed in her lifetime, and believe that was her novel use of one of them that provides a nice illustration to close with. All I want you to do now is to think about the time you spent with her. Now, tell me if you need more than one hand to count the number of times you saw her check her phone while she was interacting with you. Compare that to some of the younger people you know, and tell me she wasn't onto something powerful. To use her own expression, my grandmother was quite simply a peach. And I will forever be grateful for the enormously positive influence she had on my life, the unconditional love she gave to her family, and every single Christmas lasagna she made for us. We miss her very much.